Welcome back everybody to another Nano Reef Freak video. In this video, we're talking about the Eshup's Deskmate Florida 9-gallon aquarium, which I have here on my desk. This is a newly set up aquarium. It's only been up for a couple of days now. And in this video series, we're going to show you everything you need to do to have a successful reef tank right on your desk. The first product we're going to talk about today is Quick Start. This comes in a variety of brands and a variety of products. The Quick Start we're using is the Fritz Turbo Start. It's the Turbo Start 900 specifically, and this will do up to a 25-gallon tank. So why use a product like a Quick Start? You could say, why not just let the aquarium do its thing on its own, and that would probably take about a month and a half, and it would do a natural cycle. When people do that cycling, they often use something like a piece of shrimp to decay in the aquarium, which is not really the best method anymore. But some people also add ammonia, which has to be measured and be very accurate, which is also possible. In our case, we're using Quick Start to shorten this cycle down to about 2 weeks. It takes about 14 to 18 days in my testing. This is the second tank I've done this on, or actually third tank I've done this on, because we did the BioCube, we did the 25-gallon Innovative Marine, and now we're using Quick Start again on the 9-gallon. This isn't sponsored by any means, this is just a product I've chosen. It's sold at my local fish store, and it works well for me.
A totally unnecessary step, but one that I do put a little bit of prime in the water just to make sure that there's no chlorine in the water at all. There shouldn't be because we're using reverse osmosis RODI water here. However, it's better safe than sorry. That's way too much prime, by the way. Just put in a couple drops per gallon and you'll go ahead and get your tank totally clear of chlorine.
The reason you would add a bacteria like this is if you're not getting live rock and you're getting something like this Carib Sea life rock, I believe they call it, or if you're using base rock, for example, which is just the white rock that you get at the store, that rock does not have any bacteria on it. Now, if you get live rock from the ocean, the live rock in the ocean is going to have a vast variety of bacteria on the rock itself, and that's going to create a valuable ecosystem in your reef tank. When you're using rock that is dry like this and it's uncultured, you're going to need some kind of bacteria to get your aquarium started. In my case, I do have filter media from a previous aquarium that I had set up, and that works as well. However, adding a bottle like this is going to help seed all the rocks, all the sand, and it's going to make this aquarium have a large biodiversity. Fritz also says that their Turbo Start 900 can be added after water changes and periodically to your reef tank. So don't think it's just a product you can use in the beginning. Fritz also claims that it'll cycle your tank in less than 5 days. I personally will not be testing those claims as I'm not willing to throw livestock in here until it's completely safe for them. Now there are some products, notably Microbacter, which is by another brand. Microbacter you can add to your tank every couple months. Some people add it every month. But you can go ahead and add Microbacter to an existing aquarium and add that on a regular basis to then increase your biodiversity over time. It effectively helps prevent old tank syndrome, where all the bacteria in your aquarium dies off and then you start going through miniature cycles while you have all your livestock in there, which can be detrimental to a reef tank after it's a couple years old. In my experience, what I've done personally is after about 2 to 3 years, I'll go ahead and replace some portion of the sand with fresh sand. I find that sand can hold a lot of bad stuff in there, especially if you have one of those really thick sand beds that's never been gravel vac before. And how you want to do that is during a water change, you want to suck out some of your sand. That way anything that's disturbed in the sand bed gets sucked out of the aquarium in the water change. Then when you're replacing it with your new sand, it will then get cultured by the sand around it because you don't want to change it all at once. You maybe want to change 1/4 of it at a time and do this once a month in your monthly water changes, for example. Or if you're doing weekly water changes, do a smaller amount every week. Just be careful of disturbing your sand bed because that can add a lot of complexity to your reef tank. But with a product like Quick Start or Microbacter 7, you can add a lot of bacteria to your reef tank, and that's going to increase the biodiversity in the tank and replicate the ocean as closely as possible. The next thing you want to add is copepods. Copepods come in a variety of options. You have tiger pods, you have copepods, there's even more than that probably. But using something like copepods here is going to make your reef tank very mature very quickly. Most mature reef tanks take years to have a large variety of copepods like that, to have a population of copepods, so to speak.
It is also worth noting, you want to acclimate your copepods to your aquarium just like you would any fish or coral. So the temperature in that bag is not necessarily the same temperature of your aquarium, especially if you're running a heater, or if these copepods were shipped to you in a box, or if you drove home and these copepods were in your car for 30-40 minutes on the way home. You really want to let this bag sit in there for, I would say, at least 15 minutes to get to be the same temperature as your aquarium before pouring them in. Also, check your salinity and make sure your salinity is around 1.025. That way, the copepods are going into a perfect tank.
Adding copepods to your reef tank on day 1 is going to help those copepods culture your tank, and copepods provide a lot of benefits. For example, when you're cycling your reef tank, you're going to go through an ugly stage, as they call it. And the ugly stage is when you get brown diatoms all over your reef tank. Copepods eat that diatom algae and prevent your tank from getting too gross looking with that brown algae. So copepods are not only going to help eat algae, but they're also going to help clean your aquarium and get in all those little nooks and crannies, because these guys aren't tiny. They're literally like a micron. I mean, they're so small when they're babies. They do grow out to be 2 to 3 millimeters long, and when you see them at that size, they'll actually run around your tank. So if you can see the copepods running around at the sand bed at night, you know your tank is very mature and very well established. Now, some of your reef inhabitants also eat copepods. Think about mandarin gobies, some of your more opportunistic feeders, maybe like a 6-line wrasse, for example. Something like that is going to peck copepods off the rock when the opportunity arises, and that's also just going to help feed your fish. Long story short, copepods are going to help maintain your reef tank, clean on all those nooks and crannies, and create a well-balanced ecosystem. So far we've talked about quick start and we've talked about copepods. The problem with a tank this new, there's no food in the system. There's nothing to feed the copepods, which is a huge problem. So right now at this stage, we need to introduce the copepods, feed the copepods, introduce the bacteria, and then help keep everything going for 2 to 4 weeks if you want to wait that long, or 14 to 18 days, at least is what I found. If you're testing your tank regularly, you test it every couple days during the first couple weeks, and you can start to see that spike and drop in things like ammonia and nitrite, which turn into nitrate. How we keep the copepods alive is phytoplankton. In my specific case, my local fish store had PhytoFeast from Reef Nutrition. PhytoFeast is great. How you dose it is 1 to 5 drops per gallon. I typically lean towards 2 to 3 drops per gallon. So in this tank, I did about 25 to 27 drops, and this is going to feed all your copepods. Not only is this going to feed all your copepods, but this can also be used to feed certain corals and certain filter feeders in your aquarium as well. Not to mention, PhytoFeast has omega-3s and fatty acids, which are beneficial for your reef tank. PhytoFeast also includes 6 species of phytoplankton in a single bottle. So how do we feed PhytoFeast? We're going to feed it every single day. So every single day, we're going to add a couple drops of this to the tank per gallon. So probably 1 to 2 drops per gallon every single day in this tank for the first couple weeks, just to make sure the copepods have everything they need to thrive in this tank. The copepods are getting the bacteria to create an environment for them that's suitable to live in. They're getting PhytoFeast, which is phytoplankton, for them to thrive, and then they'll start to grow, reproduce, and eat the brown algae that comes in the ugly stage of our aquarium. After 14 to 18 days, this is going to create a well-established reef tank that's ready for fish, corals, and invertebrates. As for stocking this tank, you guys will have to wait for the next couple videos to see that, but we've got some great things planned for stocking on this tank throughout October. This is going to be our October series, so there'll be a video every day is what we're shooting for in October. We're going to take this aquarium through October, and this is going to be the sole focus of the channel, and we're going to go through all the steps as a very beginner, and you're going to get to see everything firsthand. That way you can replicate it to produce a successful reef tank in your own home. This series is going to be meant for new beginners, new people who are new to aquariums, or people that are established and just want to revisit the good old days of having a small nano tank on your desk before you upgraded to your 100 or 200 gallon reef tanks that we all dream of. And if you've got one of those big giant tanks, congrats. We're not there quite yet, but someday we'll get there. You got to start somewhere though, so why not start here? A really important thing to mention with our Fritz Turbostart 900 and our PhytoFeast phytoplankton foods are that you need to make sure you get those products in date. Your local fish store should be refrigerating those products, keeping them cold, and not frozen, but keeping them cold, and those products do have a shelf life. It'll be a couple months, so you'll have to look at the bottle and see, is it within date, and make sure it's well within date. You don't want to get something that expires in a couple days, for example, and you don't want to get something that expired several months ago. Unfortunately, some local fish stores do not refrigerate these products, or they keep them past their expiration date, so please check your products when buying. Alright everyone, in this video we went ahead and added our Fritz Turbostart 900, our culture of copepods, and the phytoplankton to feed those copepods and keep them alive and help them thrive and grow in this environment. In the next couple videos, we'll be following this tank and its progress as it becomes a well-established ecosystem. So I'll catch you guys on the next one.